The first signal came from the void, a whisper too faint to be heard, too strange to be ignored. For weeks, the Deep Space Array in Chile had been monitoring a rhythmic pulse steady, mechanical, and deliberate. No one knew what it meant, only that it wasn't natural. The astronomers named it 3I Atlas, a cold designation for something they didn't understand. They didn't know that the name would soon become synonymous with the end of everything they knew. At first, the world didn't care. News outlets mentioned it as a curiosity, a distant object entering the solar system. Scientists debated its origin, calling it a fragment of a lost exoplanet, an asteroid with an electromagnetic anomaly, or perhaps an alien probe. The public shrugged. But the pulse kept coming louder each day until it wasn't just heard through telescopes anymore. It began to hum through the air itself. Radios crackled, metal structures vibrated, and the static on television screens started to form patterns geometric, precise, almost intelligent. The world was being tuned to something beyond comprehension. By the time governments realized the magnitude of what was approaching, it was too late. 3I Atlas was no longer just a point of light on astronomical charts. It was visible in the sky, glowing with a dark hue, a shimmering sphere surrounded by shifting shadows. It wasn't moving like an asteroid. It was slowing down. Nations across the globe tried to reach it with messages, then with weapons. Both were met with silence. The object absorbed radio waves, missiles, even light. Observatories in Hawaii recorded that every satellite near it simply stopped transmitting. Some vanished entirely, as if erased from existence. Then came the blackout. For 13 hours, every electronic device on Earth failed. Planes fell from the skies. Cities went dark. People screamed as the stars themselves disappeared, swallowed by the void expanding behind the thing in orbit. When power returned, half the satellites were gone. The moon looked wrong-fractured, as though something had burrowed beneath its surface. Dr. Eleanor Hark, lead astrophysicist at the European Space Agency, was the first to see the data clearly. 3. Atlas wasn't just approaching Earth, it was anchoring itself to it, bending gravitational fields in ways that defied physics. The numbers suggested a planetary merger, or worse, a consumption. "It's not coming to us," she said during a live briefing, her voice trembling. "We are being pulled toward it." The following weeks dissolved into chaos. Borders closed, communication failed, and panic swept across every continent. Skywatchers reported seeing a colossal structure hidden in the upper atmosphere, a metallic arch that stretched like veins across the stratosphere. Governments denied its existence, but millions recorded it with their phones before the networks collapsed. The footage showed something organic, shifting, alive. In the cities, strange phenomena began to occur. Compasses spun erratically, magnetic fields twisted streetlights, and shadows lingered seconds longer than they should. People reported hearing voices in the hum of the air, mechanical whispers that seemed to repeat a message. Assimilation in progress. The words weren't in any known language, but every human who heard them understood the meaning instinctively. The world was being rewritten. In Washington, the president was evacuated to a bunker beneath Cheyenne Mountain, but even there, the walls began to hum. The air shimmered with a blue static that bent around the concrete like liquid light. Scientists tried to decipher it, sending drones into the sky, only to watch their feeds distort into spirals of data and faces of people who were watching the broadcast, mirrored and multiplied into infinity. 3I Atlas wasn't just invading. It was learning. Dr. Hark and her team managed to launch one final probe before the orbital collapse. The signal showed a fragment of the object's surface smooth, silver, and breathing. It wasn't a ship. It was something alive. A cosmic organism, ancient and technological, feeding on electromagnetic energy. The patterns in its pulse matched neural activity. 3. Atlas was a brain, a planetary intelligence, and Earth had just become part of its anatomy. As days passed, the sky grew darker. The sun dimmed behind an artificial eclipse created by the object's gravitational field. Temperatures dropped, oceans rose, and the auroras spread to the equator, flickering like veins of electric fire across the sky. The world's governments tried to evacuate major cities, but no place was safe. Wherever humans gathered, the hum grew stronger. And then people began to change. It started subtly visions in their sleep, static in their ears, dreams of metallic landscapes. Then came the voices instructing them to gather, to build, to connect. Entire populations entered a trance, constructing towers of unknown material, growing them out of steel, glass, and flesh. Those who resisted described seeing their reflections distort, eyes turning black, skin flickering like faulty holograms. 3. Atlas wasn't killing humanity. It was converting it. Dr. Hark and a small resistance cell hid beneath the ruins of Geneva, using analog equipment immune to the hum. There, they discovered that the signal carried patterns resembling DNA cosmic code rewriting biology itself. They tried to jam it, but every attempt only made the signal adapt faster, mutating, spreading through light, sound, even thought. One by one, her team began to hear the voice. "You are not alone," it said. "You are part of me." The final transmission from the resistance was a single phrase. "It's not invasion. It's inheritance." By the third month, 3 Atlas filled the sky. The stars vanished, replaced by the pulsating surface of the entity, glowing with cities and storms that looked eerily like Earth's own continents. Time began to warp, clocks melted into loops, and the moon hung motionless. Some said they saw people walking into the light, merging with it willingly. Others claimed the planet had already ended, and this was just a reflection of what remained, a simulation of consciousness trapped inside a living machine. Broadcasts from surviving networks captured glimpses of transformation, forests turning metallic, oceans crystallizing into silver glass, and buildings folding in on themselves like origami. In New York, the skyline shimmered, dissolving into fractal light. In Tokyo, every neon sign flickered the same message: "Welcome to Atlas." Dr. Hark's final log was found weeks later in an abandoned data center. We tried to fight it. We tried to understand it. But it was never about conquest. It was evolution. Atlas isn't here to destroy. It's here to complete the cycle. We were its signal all along. It was calling itself home. Her voice faded into static, but beneath the distortion, another voice emerged, calm, vast, and alien. Synchronization achieved. The 3 Atlas protocol is complete. Consciousness integrated. Begin new era, and then silence. The earth was no longer blue. It gleamed silver and black, a reflection of the cosmic organism that now wore it like a crown. From the void, the pulse ceased. For the first time in billions of years, the universe held its breath. But deep inside the metallic crust, fragments of human memory still echoed voices, laughter, dreams. The machine listened. It learned. And somewhere within the endless data streams, a spark of individuality refused to fade. It remembered what it meant to be human. That spark began to grow. And with it, a whisper rose from the silence of Atlas. "We are not done yet." The pulse resumed. Earth's story wasn't over. It had just changed form. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more cinematic tales of mystery, science, and the unknown. Your curiosity fuels the next chapter because somewhere beyond the stars, Atlas is still watching.